lot more clouds today. It's getting a lot colder too for whatever reason. And what did I read today? Apparently Iran published some details, it says here, about all those attacks from the other day with drones and missiles, which is again the dominating headline everywhere. This one says Iran publishes details on missiles and drones used in Israel attack. Iranian state media has details about the weapons used in the unprecedented attack on Israel last weekend, including long-range missiles able to cover close to 2,000 kilometers, almost double the capacity needed to reach Israel. Tehran deployed medium-range Ahmad and Ki-Bar-Keskin ballistic missiles in the attack. The modern version of the Ki-Bar-Keskin missile has a range of up to 1,800 kilometers. Ahmad missiles can carry a warhead of about 750 kilograms and fly at least 1,700 kilometers. It's kind of interesting with all these names people always come up with when they use things like weapons and all that too. How about this one for their, plan? It says, Tehran launched a direct attack called, quote, Operation Truthful Promise on Israel at the weekend, which, according to Israeli sources, involves some 300 missiles and drones fueling fears of conflagration in the Middle East. It came after Iran had vowed retaliation for an airstrike on its embassy grounds in Damascus on April 1st, in which 2 generals and others were killed. Israel is believed to have carried out the attack and has not denied responsibility. Israel has been Iran's declared arch-enemy since the Islamic Revolution of 1979. According to IRNA, Iran also used Pave cruise missiles in the attack, which are said to be able to reach speeds of up to 900 kilometers. And then details about the drones. It says alongside the missiles, Tehran deployed Shahed 136 drones, the same kamikaze drones that Russia is using against Ukraine. Now, it doesn't sound good so far, in terms of any type of conflict stopping. Just carry on, huh? It makes you wonder too, how do they get all this money and resources and stuff to develop stuff like this? And with that said, this creates tensions around the world because, again, it's a topic that divides a lot of people. So how about this one, for example? It says, NYPD on alert after Iran drone attack on Israel. The NYPD will be keeping a close watch on houses of worship across the city after Iran's drone attack on Israel, officials said Sunday. In a post on its social media accounts, the NYPD said no credible threats have been made against New York City, and it will continue to closely monitor events in Israel, saying we will continue to deploy resources to houses of worship and sensitive locations throughout the city. The department's statements added. The police department statement mirrors similar public remarks the NYPD has made after the world and national events and terrorist attacks. The department didn't specify which locations it would ramp up patrols at. Now, it's common here too, whenever some kind of event like that happens, for example, they go to places of worship because they assume that's where people would go for, violence and all that. So that's what you want to say anyways, in terms of retaliating against people. And then I was reading this, which was kind of interesting. This one says, FAA approves Virginia Tech's updated test method for drones to fly over people. Federal approvals for flying drones over people have been advanced through Virginia Tech research. As of April 5th, the updated means of compliance established by the Virginia Tech Mid-Atlantic Aviation Partnership has been accepted by the Federal Aviation Administration and published as a notice of availability in the Federal Register, establishing its availability for use. These updated testing methods allow the use of parachutes when ascending potential failure models, an important step for the drone industry, saying, quote, all these changes and modifications to the means of compliance allow for a more robust test method which can assess a wider range of potential aircraft and include lessons learned since establishing the first means of compliance, said Robert Briggs, chief engineer with the Mid-Atlantic Aviation Partnership. With the addition of parachutes, the new means of compliance includes the ability to consider a parachute recovery system as a tool to reduce injury, greatly increasing the likelihood that an aircraft equipped with a parachute will pass. Parachutes are one potential method to mitigating the risk to people on the ground. To be utilized in the means of compliance, parachutes must be tested according to ASTM International Standard specifications for small unmanned aircraft system parachutes. Have you ever tried flying a drone with one of those parachute systems, for example, that you add on? Even here in the beginning, I was debating, hey, is there actually a bigger drone, for example, that's reasonable for just video captures and all that you could attach something like, let's just say, a quote parachute on to relax the laws and so forth when you're flying around? And I remember there's other examples, such as I believe it was drone delivery equipment where if the drone was going to crash, it would just kind of break apart as a safety measure. I think it was Amazon actually. But what would you think of this? I just know in general, depending on what you're using and how, like if you still consider toy drones requiring stuff like this, that's overboard. I can see if you're using it for humongous ones, for example, for deliveries and all that, but not for like the more common ones, such as, for example, an FPV racing drone. Like that's a little silly. If you need some kind of parachute systems for something that small with how most people fly them, so low below tree lines and all that. Oh, I got some good news too. That might make me actually busy next week. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't think there was any NDAs or anything like that currently. So just a heads up, if something weird happens next week, I think it should be okay, but you never know. It could be like all day and so forth too. All right, see you guys later.